And good evening, Facebook and YouTube and everybody else. I get asked a lot in terms of how do you make no money down deals? How do you get started? How do you know if the deal works up? What goes wrong? How do you make sure you do the project on time? How do you make sure you do it within budget? Lots of questions there, and it's not possible to cover all that on a Facebook Live. In fact, that's a whole weekend course or a 3 or 4 day course, and I don't intend to do that on a live video whatsoever. What I am going to do for you, though, is kind of cover 4 or 5, 6 things, in fact, that I think you ought to be aware of, just to kind of get you started or get you thinking about things very, very differently. So the first one is very obvious and very straightforward, is if you were looking to get into property, would you do a no money down deal with yourself? And if the answer is no, think about why it's no. Is it lack of experience? Is it lack of or not being able to deliver projects of the size you're looking to do, or you've not done them on time, or you've not done them within budget, or there's something else that you want to fix? So all of those things, when you self-reflect, look in the mirror in terms of shortcomings or improvements that you need to make those first, because if you know about them, quite soon the world will get to know about them as well, especially if you're out there and you've got a social media presence or you're networking and you're building your profile. People will soon get to see your flaws, and we all have flaws, by the way. Get to see those flaws, so fix them. And I'm not saying stop becoming who you are, far from it. But if there are things that need to be improved, or you need to improve your credibility or your knowledge or your experience or your expertise, well, do that first before you let the whole world find out. So that's incredibly important. The second one is, where do we find people with the money? Now, that's a good question. And there's different answers, by the way. So it could be family, friends, contacts, people you know. But what works really well from my point of view is, before I started asking people for money, I was sharing what I was doing on social media in terms of my projects, because that helps build a brand, helps build credibility. People can actually see you doing projects, because as much as some people don't want to admit it, there are some people in the world of property who probably massage things and make them look and sound better than they actually are. Maybe you haven't come across some of those people, but unfortunately I have. So in order to build credibility, make it look genuine and sincere, post things on social media with updates. Now that's up to you, how much exposure you want, how comfortable you are, whether you want to do it, whether you don't want to do it. I'm here to just share with you. If you want to do no money down deals, then you've got to reach the biggest and largest amount of audience in the quickest way possible. And social media is one of the best ways to do that. Alongside that, of course, is networking events. So either speaking at the events or being involved and going there and talking to people. And for God's sake, whatever you do, don't go around asking people you're looking for an investor and you want some money. That just sounds desperate. People don't like that. They want to get to know you first, then they might like you, then they might trust you. So build that over time. Don't come across as desperate, and just share the deals that you have, if you have any, and always be honest and transparent. And through that process, when people see you're doing stuff, when you come across as being credible, when you come across as not being desperate, somebody who's likable or fits in line with their values, then you can start talking about, well, I've got this particular deal, I can't fund it. Do you by any chance know somebody who can? And they might say to you, I've got somebody. Or they might say to you, well, I've got some spare cash. How about I do this deal with you? I can see you know your stuff. You've done this before. So why don't we do it together? That's how slowly you build a relationship. You don't go from having coffee with them on day one and on day two you become business partners. It just doesn't work like that. People work at a different pace, and if they're going to give you anywhere from 50 grand to a couple of £1 million over time, then they're not going to do that after one particular meeting, simply because if you had that kind of money, you wouldn't do it after the first meeting. So why would you expect somebody else to do it? The third one, which is extremely important, is, does the deal stack up? So here you need to appraise the deal in great detail and make sure you've done your research, because if you're giving somebody an investor pack, they need to make sure that A, you know what you're talking about, B, that the numbers are credible and real and genuine, and C, that you can deliver. So your investor pack should have a breakdown of all the different costs, and they need to be kind of real good kind of as accurate as they can be. I mean, the estimates, they can't be exactly accurate, but they need to be as close to accurate as they can be. So you give the investor confidence, you give them confidence about the end values, the GDV, if you're looking to sell, and what the exit plan is, what the finance costs are, where the money is coming from, if it's 100% funded by the investor, what they get in return, and just break everything down in great detail. And if once you've done that, if the deal doesn't work, then you stop and you move on to the next deal. Don't kind of make a hatchet job and just try to make a deal fix just because you think, I want to get some money from somebody desperate to do a deal. Let's make this deal work. I think stick to your basic margins. From my point of view, 20% plus. If it doesn't work, move on. And by the way, if you think it's going to be 20%, by the time you've done it, I can tell you from experience, you probably end up on 18%, maybe 15% with the way that the costs are increasing and with the difficulties we're having with supply chains. So don't really work on really, really tight deals. Aim for 25% if you can. This partly means buying good or buying at a really good price. But make sure your deal analyzer is good, accurate, and the deal stacks up, because the last thing you want to do is share that with people and kind of make a fool of yourself, because that's no good to you whatsoever. D, or number 4, is whatever you do, always come across as being sincere, genuine, and do not make false promises and say you're going to make stuff happen when you know you can't do it. Because it's quite easy to get excited. It's quite easy to overpromise and under-deliver. That's the wrong way to do it. You'll know from experience, always under-promise and over-deliver. So whether it's your knowledge about property deals, conversions, whatever strategy you're doing, always just be honest about what you know, what you don't know. Share the information about the deal very openly, and that's the best way to form a good long-term relationship. Because I can tell you from experience, if a person says to you they've got £100,000 to invest and they give you £100,000, by the way, I'm pretty sure they've probably got 200 grand or more. Okay, nobody ever tells you exactly how much cash they've got available, especially when they're doing the first deal with you. I mean, if it's a family member or a close friend, they might do because they've known you over a longer period of time. But if you met somebody at networking, or they've seen you online and they've been introduced to you, they're not going to tell you on day one how much cash they've got to invest. They always tell you a lower figure. Once you make that work, then they say to you, well, lo and behold, I've got access to 5 times this much money. Can you repeat this particular deal and do something bigger? But if you've overpromised stuff and you're not within budget, you're not within time, and both of those things don't usually happen, by the way, and you've promised them the earth, and when it comes to delivery, you made a big, massive loss, well, guess what? They're not going to be keen to do another deal with you. So make sure you always underpromise. That's extremely important. Number 5, it's be transparent. If you take on an investor, share with them exactly what's going on. And different people have different working methods. So from my point of view, when I use a no money down deal, because I'm sharing all the stuff on YouTube with the videos, I don't have weekly, bi-weekly, fortnightly, monthly catch-up meetings, updates, all that kind of stuff. I send photos, I send videos of exactly what's going on. But because I've been doing this for a while, the investors have a bit more belief and trust in me. If it's one of your earlier deals, then you're going to have to be transparent, and you're going to have to share information and updates with the investor on a regular basis. Always tell them exactly what's going on in an open manner. There's no point hiding stuff. It's going to come out later, and it's just going to bite you in the backside. So why not just be honest in the first place and tell people exactly what's going on? Transparency is important. It helps build trust, and it helps to build mutual respect. And number 6, don't go around touting you've got loads of deals when you've got no deals, and getting people to commit money. Because if somebody says to you, I've got 100 grand in my pension pot, for example, I'll draw down, find the deal, they draw down, you haven't got a deal, and you give them the chase around, it's not good for your credibility. So find the deals that work, make them stack up, do all your homework, be professional, and make sure the deal is good to go. And then I would go to an investor and say, I've got this particular deal here, I've agreed to buy it, here's the numbers, here's why the deal works, I've been out there, do you want to come and have a look with me? You can see it, it's my deal, I've got first refusal, do you want to invest? And then obviously go out there and do the deals. Now, some of the stuff I've shared with you might sound obvious. It is obvious, but it's not that obvious to people, because most people aren't actually doing it. So if it was obvious, they would be doing it. So keep it simple, follow these steps, and I will share, if you want more information on no money down, because I've done quite a few of these, happy to share that in detail. And if you want me to do that next week or some other time, just send me a message and I'll be happy to do it. But what I can tell you is no money down deals work. They're fantastic. They're going to be good for you, good for your investors, as long as you can make them work. So until next week, bye for now.